So now we're going to reverse it. We're going to take the roots and we're going to turn them back into an equation. So it's kind of the reverse of what we've just been doing. So if the roots are 3 and 2, what are the factors that those roots came from? Right, x minus 3 and x minus 2. And if I FOIL those together, I get x squared. You can FOIL that enough to get minus 5x plus 6 equals 0. But the equation that has those roots, you can probably say it, I guess, either way, but it has to be an equation. Actually, now that I'm thinking through, it'll probably confuse you to do the y. I would just leave it equals 0. That's the equation that has those roots. Equation, right? So here it would be x plus 5 times x plus 6. But don't forget the equals 0. And if I FOIL that back together, this is the equation that has those roots. Easy speasy, right? This one could be a little trickier for people. X equals 0 just really comes from x, and then x equals 2/5 comes from 5x minus 2. So if we set that equal to 0 and then we factor or FOIL it, or rather distribute, we would get this, 5x squared minus 2x equals 0. When it's got fractions, right, you could do this one of two ways. I mean, I guess you could say that the factors are x, not that I guess you could say x minus a half x plus 2/3 and FOIL that, but most people, they're like, would rather not have the fractions, right? So I think like the safer bet that most people take is to, go back to 2x minus 1 and 3x plus 2. This is going to be 6x squared, and then just doing that in my head, plus x minus 2 when I FOIL that back together. Now the next ones are, getting more into what we're actually doing. So here, x minus root 3, x plus root 3 equals 0. And if I FOIL this, I'm going to just show the outers and inners just so you can see how they cancel out. And then minus root 9, but the square root of 9 is 3, so it's really x squared minus 3 equals 0. Someone else could say, well, isn't it the same thing as x equals 3, x squared equals 3? Yes, it is. Yeah. X equals 2i, x equals negative 2i, x minus 2i, x plus 2i equals 0. So x squared, and then the 2i x and the negative 2ix are going to cancel out, and I have negative 4i squared. But isn't negative 4i squared the same thing as positive 4? Yes, it is. And you could also say this is the same thing as x squared equals negative 4. Last one here, x minus I root 3, x plus I root 3. Now this one looks a little stressful, right? So x squared, the outers and inners are going to cancel out. Plus I root 3x, minus I root 3x. The last part is the hardest one. It's minus I squared root 9, which is the same thing as what? Plus 3 equals 0. Or the same thing as x squared equals negative 3. We're going to do 7 and 8 in a later chapter, so I have those in there for now, but I'm just going to let those go for right now, and then we circle back to those problems in a later chapter, solving from roots and turning it back into an equation.